We are locked out with no phone and no way to get back in. We didn't even make it a full 48 hours and our black tank was full.
Yeah, we made some rookie moves. I didn't freak out. I just felt contaminated. I was able to get fully lathered and soaped up before I ran out of water, which made it worse.
What are they doing?
Something incorrectly. No doubt it was user error. I will own that fully, but
I was hitching just a little bit crooked and kind of shook the RV. So there's definitely two different kind of polar inners.
So that everybody's anxiety rose a little bit.
Today we're going to share with you some of the funny stories about when we first moved in and kind of the hiccups of the transition of going to full-time RV life.
And while we do that, we're in Helper, Utah, a cute little town. Don't underestimate small towns. We're going to go for a walk in the heart of it and take you along with us.
Let's go.
Helper's been such a pleasant surprise. I mean, I hoped Utah would be beautiful. I heard it was beautiful. Stunning.
Yeah, and there's such a cute little town that's walking distance from the RV, and there's so much to do around here.
So when we first got to Helper, we discovered that it was in Carbon County, and they call it the Carbon Corridor. So this area is known for fossils. They still mine coal. They're clearly pumping out crude oil and natural gas. We were on some BLM land yesterday and they were pumping out natural gas. Dominion was. But there's so many exciting and fun things to do.
So just 0.3 miles from the RV park is this awesome little deli and bakery, and we were here the first couple of days. The guy smokes chickens and ribs and everything, so we got a full smoked chicken. Awesome stuff from the bakery. Definitely a local spot you gotta check out.
Look how tall it is! That's cool.
Is your truck bigger than that?
It's not taller. Oh, this is an Airbnb too.
A new place, a new home for a while. Let me feel alive. Nothing to hold me back. Take my time, just enjoy the ride. I know man passing by, life is good, best I've ever felt.
So we've been living in the Brinkster for about 4 months, a little over 4 months now, and we're really settling in and finding our groove, but that did not come instantly.
No. And as we kind of look back, you know, when you're going through change or a challenge and you're in the middle of it, you just kind of get through it. But as we've looked back and kind of even reflected on the first few days, we just had to laugh at kind of some things. Yeah.
Yeah, at ourselves.
So we moved in on a Tuesday. The first 2 nights, like, we froze. Like, it was like camping.
Like temperature, freezing cold. Froze.
So we were like bundled up like we were camping in the cold weather. Tuesday, Wednesday I took off. Thursday, I gotta go back to work and commute 45 minutes. So getting up, getting ready, and just before I go, I'm like, the black tank is full. Like, had the burp, had to be full, and this is our first time. We didn't even make it a full 48 hours, and our black tank was full.
Yeah, we made some rookie moves, so we have learned a lot about the black tank since then. We now have a system. We only flush the TP if we do number dose. Any other time, not all number ones get flushed, and if the TP from the number one never gets flushed anymore. The biggest thing that's gonna fill or cause any clog issues in general when it comes to your black tank, because remember, this is a square container holding fluids for the most part, is the toilet paper. And so we only flush toilet paper now if it's a number 2. And now, generally speaking, unless we eat something weird, a black tank doesn't need to be flushed. We go probably about every 6 days.
Big improvements there. So we go to flush the black tank, and this is our first time doing the black tank flush when it's full of black tank stuff. So I'm like, I'll just be late for work, let's do it together. And we go out. The black tank flush went ultimately pretty smooth.
Yeah, it was super smooth.
Super cold out. She got a little bit of water on her, clean water, freaks out, goes in, and so I tell her, I'm like,
I didn't freak out. I just felt contaminated. There is a huge difference between freaking out and being contaminated.
So I have like, there's only a third tank water. So at this point, we're just filling our fresh tank and using our water pump. So I'm like, it's only reading a third tank. And she was just kind of like, we didn't know yet what that meant.
Nope.
She goes in, starts the washer with her contaminated jacket of fresh water, gets in the shower, and runs out of water, like almost instantly.
I was able to get fully lathered and soaped up before I ran out of water, which made it worse.
And so then I'm like, well, stay there. And I go hook up the water so she can continue her shower. So now,
and by the way, Lake Pleasant not only had the worst water in regards to hard water that we've ever seen, like anywhere, but also had the worst water pressure we've ever seen. So it took a long time to fill that tank back up.
so I went out, filled up the fresh water. She was able to finish her shower. So the funny thing is now, like, we can both take a long shower, do dishes, a load of laundry easily before even like our pump is letting us know like the tank is getting low. But now, like, I'll be like, there's a third of tank of water, and she's like, I'm not getting in. But if she showers first and then it's a third, she's like, oh yeah, you have water, you can shower. But she will no longer get in the shower if it's only reading a third.
Hey, listen, you stand there and shiver your timbers off once, you won't let it happen again. And we've made some upgrades. So we upgraded our shower heads. They're now high efficiency, high pressure.
Big difference.
We've learned a lot. So we always fill our fresh tank and then use the water pumped, mostly because we have a 9-day boondocking adventure coming up. Stay tuned for that. But we wanted to get a feel and we needed to understand how much water we were using and all of those sorts of things. And also we just want to protect our tank from any water pressure issues. We just want to think about it once or twice a day and then be done. We don't worry about it.
And that's been working well for us.
It's been working great. But that is our system, so that's why we always like check the tank level. But no, I won't shower if it says a third. I'll go out and fill it. So also in those first 3 months while we were still at Lake Pleasant and we were learning the ropes, and before we hit the road, right, there's a lot of unknowns getting ready to hit the road for the first time. So we wanted my mom to come and visit us. Her and her husband came to see us. We wanted them to see the RV and just, we wanted to show it off to somebody we loved, right? And that's always mom. So we invite my mom, we tell her like, hey, we'd love to come and see you during this window. We'd love for you to come and see us during this window of time. We can't really host you overnight. There's not really any good place to sleep, so you'd have to make your own sleeping arrangements. Hope that's okay, Mom. Love ya. So she says, hey, we're gonna rent an RV and we're gonna come camp. My mom's husband has never been camping in her life, and I did tent camp with my mom growing up, but that was 20 to 30 or more years ago. So what was our first reaction when they told us they were gonna come camp?
Our first reaction was like, no, you don't know what you're getting yourself into with the camper and the tanks. And there wasn't dump tanks where they were going to be staying. And we were like, we are just figuring it out. We can't help you. It seemed like way too much
we were
of an
overwhelmed.
idea.
Yeah, we were very overwhelmed. So my first reaction to my mom was like, no, don't do that. You won't enjoy it. Get a hotel. Then we calmed down and we're like, actually, it would be really nice to have them right next door. And it ended up being awesome. They rented an RV for the first time. They came and they stayed next to us. It was so much fun to camp together.
And at this point, now that we've gotten the groove of everything, I'm like, everybody should RV. If people aren't RVing and they don't camp, like, what are they doing?
The opposite reaction, yes, exactly. Had my mom just waited 6 more weeks to break that news, we would have responded so different. But one of the reasons we responded and we were having such a tough time, because just probably about 48 hours before my mom broke the news that they were going to camp for the first time with us, what happened?
Okay. We moved in on a Tuesday. We talked about Thursday, had to empty the tanks, a little late to work. That Monday, I'm like, okay, fresh start, new week, I'm commuting to work. I had a new hire start that day, was getting her set up on the computer, and I get this phone call on my phone, which I don't really get phone calls or take phone calls. Like, no one calls me on my phone. So I'm like, who's calling me? Came up as Hugo. It called like 3 times. And I was like, kind of blew it off. So I'm getting multiple calls from a 480 number. And so I asked some of the guys at work, I'm like, is this a local number? And they're like, yeah. So I'm like, man, who's calling me? Didn't really think much about it. Then I get this text message and I read it. I'm going to read it to you. And I think it's like spam. I'm like, this is like the weirdest spam text ever. So I'm going to read it. We are locked out with no phone and no way to get back in. This is maintenance. Please come home now. We are freezing and not dressed. Whatever button you pushed is not to be pushed again.
Okay, so what happened was, it was early in the morning, one of those freezing cold first mornings, and I was barely awake. I was waking up. The dogs really needed to go outside. We were fully fenced, so I thought, let me just step outside with the dogs. Text her like, hey, about to step outside and let the dogs out. And we were monkeying with the locks, trying to get our remote and our pin code on the RV set up the day before to preference the button comment.
So I read it out loud to one of my coworkers. I'm like, this is the weirdest text. Like, I'm like, this is maintenance. I'm like, I don't even have maintenance. Now, mind you, nobody at my office knew that I just moved into an RV 6 days ago. And so then I go to my phone to text her, and her last message is, I'm gonna go let the dogs out. And I was like, oh. So then I like put it all together. So I call this number and call him. I'm like, did you just call me? I got a text message from you. And he's like, oh yeah, your wife is locked out. I'm no longer at your site, but I'll have her call you.
Yeah, so he was never at our site. So I step out to let the dogs out. It's 30 something degrees and I have socks on. I throw some slides on, no coat. And so we're shivering, so I have to walk around. I finally find the pool maintenance guy. In my brain, I was saying, this is the maintenance guy's phone. Like, she would just know it was me. But
no. I was like, if you would have said, this is Sydney, this is your wife, like, I would have been home 20 minutes sooner. So anyway, as soon as I like read out loud, I'm like, that's Sydney, she's locked out. I mean, I just booked it because I knew I had a 45-minute drive ahead of me, and she was locked out. The dogs didn't have their leash or harnesses. There was nowhere to go. And
it was cold, and apparently we weren't dressed, according to the text message.
Yeah, so she was in her PJs, no phone. So we have since learned, we carry our phone, we carry our keys.
Yes. Yes. So I'm like sitting there waiting, just hoping like she'll figure it out and come home. And Hugo drives the truck up. He pulls up. He goes, you have to call your wife. I was like, oh boy. So I call. She's like yelling at me about all of the things I didn't communicate properly.
Like, I didn't know. So what happened was when I locked it from the outside, it wasn't the deadbolt, it was the other lock. So she was able to go out the door.
And it looked unlocked.
And it looked unlocked because the deadbolt was unlocked. And so she was able to go out.
Yeah, so RVs are like old school, like 90s homes. You can lock yourself out by turning the dial and not realizing it. And that's exactly what we did. We won't be making that mistake ever again either.
No, haven't made it since. We were so thankful that we set ourselves up for success of having those 3 months in the RV stationary to learn the ins and outs and the tanks and everything with the RV before we went on our first travel day, because we knew that was going to come with its own obstacles and challenge and some hiccups. Let's talk about that first travel day.
Yeah, we made some rookie moves. The truck got put into 4 high. I don't know how. That's still today. I don't know how that happened. I assume when I was switching drive modes, I pushed something in correctly. No doubt it was user error. I will own that fully, but didn't figure that out. Luckily, we had a distance to drive that was measurable in yards versus miles, which was part of the plan. We also did not know how to unhitch, like something so simple as pulling the lever out before you pull it back. We weren't skipping that. We about ripped our backs out trying to yank that thing free. We now know how to handle every potential issue that may occur when you can't get unhitched. Like, are you not level enough? Do you need to, like all the tricks, we tried them all before we realized, oh, I can do this with my pinky finger if I do it properly. But yeah, we did set ourselves up for success. We made travel day, about that first travel day was really mostly about hitching and unhitching. And that way when that second travel day came, we worked those kinks out and it was about actually towing down the road. And that really helped a lot.
So then, as you saw, the mud disaster that we had in our boondocking spot, then set us up for that second travel day to also have a challenge because of where I moved the truck around when we had to plug in the 7-pin, left ruts that then obviously hardened right where we needed to hitch up. So it was, we were back into hitch, we were right on those ruts, which had us almost hitching just a little bit crooked and kind of shook the RV. So definitely some lessons learned there.
Yeah.
But then our last 3 travel days have been very smooth. And something we do that sets us up for success is travel days are just that, travel days. We don't plan to have any work or any excursions or anything extra on travel days. That gives us the time to get everything done in the morning when we tear down, taking our time, travel, and then setting up. Just to keep, it's already a high stress day, so just to keep it simple, and that's really helped us. One thing that we've noticed being in a handful of parks and watching people pull in is there's definitely 2 different kind of puller inners.
Yes, there are 2 different types of puller inners. So for the sake of this story, we're the first type. So when we get somewhere, like I jump out, whether I drove or not, I jump out, I scope the site. And it's just what's more natural for us, right? Like, so she, you know, I'm better at, I guess the bossier one, I'm better at giving the directions, and she's a pro at doing exactly what needs to be done and just trusting me blindly. I'm so grateful for that. And she does, and it sets us up to our strengths. I would encourage anybody, any couple who is out there like arguing during the backup process, try switching roles, really. Like, you will appreciate each other and what you're doing so much more. And so when we got here into helper, backing in went so smoothly. We had our first escort, so that everybody's anxiety rose a little bit, but it was great. And helper has been phenomenal, and we're so happy to be in this cute, tiny, small town.
And so we're so excited to be here in Helper. We're staying here for a whole month, and we're excited to see how many of the 14 things that they recommend here in the Carbon Corridor in the area that we can do. And it's just a cute little town, and it's allowed us to kind of settle down. One thing that's definitely helped us is keep it a slow pace.
Yeah.
You know, we have, from the get-go, we're like, let's not race, you know, anywhere. And so having the time here to explore this cute little town.
Yeah, so we're here for 30 days. We've got, you know, 14 things we're gonna try to get done, as many of those as we can. We're gonna take you along with us for them. We've done a few already, and we really can't wait to show you. There's so many exciting things here to do.
And the RV park that we're at, we're right backed up to the river, so being able to see, we love when we can see the water. We can also hear the water. Yeah, it's been a beautiful setting, extra wide lot and plenty of space, and you know, not that busy, which makes it nice when we, you know, it feels bigger when you don't have neighbors all around you as well. So.
Yeah, most people are just coming to pass through. And since our Colorado River adventure, Miley and Dora think they're little river pros. They love being on the riverside.
Yeah.
Yeah, most of our neighbors have just been passing through. It's a great pass through from Salt Lake to Moab, and most of the people that come through here have only been staying like a night or 2. But don't take Helper for granted. It's a great place. So stay tuned next week as we visit the Prehistoric Museum and see the raptor fossil that inspired the raptors for the movie Jurassic Park. We're taking you on an epic hike where we're going to see the first waterfall we've seen since Ohio.
Thank you so much for watching this week. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell so you can catch our adventure next week. And comment below, have you drove through Helper? Have you ever stopped and stayed here? We would love to hear your comments.
Thanks, guys.
So we stopped at the market to get our favorite, the buns and hoagie buns for steakums. What do we have? Yeah, that's not what I wanted to say. That's what I wanted, but I said steak.
Well, that is the brand we want.
Yeah. So the best part about being able to walk to the market is we got some of our favorite buns for burgers and cheesesteaks.